I remember the exact moment everything shifted. Sophie was sitting across from me, stirring her coffee, but her eyes weren't on me. They were locked on her phone. It kept lighting up. Again and again. I forced a small smile. Busy? She didn't even look up. It's just Ethan. My chest tightened. Still texting you. She sighed like I was the problem. Liam, relax. It's nothing. Nothing. That word always felt heavy when she said it. I leaned back in my chair. Then why does he keep messaging you? She finally looked at me. Because he wants to talk. That's it? Talk? I let out a quiet laugh. After everything? She rolled her eyes. You're overthinking again. I stayed quiet for a second, trying to control what I was feeling. What does he want, Sophie? She hesitated. Just for a moment, but I noticed. He wants closure, she said. I stared at her. Closure? Yeah, she replied quickly. And honestly, I think I need it too. Something inside me dropped. You need closure, I repeated slowly. From your ex? She nodded like it was the most normal thing in the world. Yes, I never got it properly. I looked down at the table, then back at her. And what about us? She frowned. What about us? Doesn't that matter? Of course it does, she said, softer now. But this is different. Different how? It's just a conversation, Liam. Why are you making it a big deal? I let out a breath. Because it is a big deal to me. She leaned forward. You don't trust me. That question hit harder than it should have. I do, I said quietly. I just don't trust him. She shook her head. You're being insecure. I swallowed that word like it burned. So what are you saying? I'm saying, she replied, I'm going to meet him, just once, to end things properly. There it was, the moment. I looked at her face, trying to find anything that showed she understood how this felt. I didn't find it. So you've already decided, I said. She didn't answer. I smiled, but it felt fake, even to me. Then why ask me? I wasn't asking, she said softly. I was telling you. That silence between us felt louder than anything she said. I nodded slowly. Right. Liam. She reached for my hand. It's just closure, that's all. I looked at her hand on mine. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Okay, I said finally. She blinked. Okay? Yeah, I forced the words out. Go. I trust you. Her shoulders relaxed instantly. Thank you. I nodded again, even though something inside me felt like it was cracking. You're the best, she said with a small smile. I didn't respond. We sat there for a while, but the conversation was already over, at least for me. Later that night, I was sitting at home staring at my phone. No messages from her. Olivia walked in and looked at me. You look dead. Thanks, I muttered. She crossed her arms. What happened? Sophie's meeting Ethan. Her expression changed immediately. Again, I didn't reply. Liam, seriously? She said. How many times is this now? It's just closure, I repeated quietly. Olivia scoffed. Closure doesn't happen 3 times. I rubbed my face. I trust her. No, she said firmly. You're afraid to lose her. That hit too close. Before I could respond, Mum called from the other room. Liam, can you come here for a minute? I stood up slowly and walked in. Mum and Dad were sitting together. That usually meant something serious. What's going on? I asked. Mum smiled gently. We wanted to talk to you about something. Dad nodded. A proposal came today. I frowned. Proposal? Yes, Mum said. A girl. Amelia Ross. I let out a tired breath. Mom, we've talked about this. I know, she said softly, but just listen. I'm with Sophie, I replied. Dad looked at me carefully. Are you sure about that? I didn't answer. Mum continued. We're not forcing you. Just think about it. I don't need to think about it, I said automatically, but then I stopped. For some reason, Sophie's words echoed in my head. I'm going to meet him. I looked at my parents again. What's she like? I asked quietly. Mum looked surprised. Amelia? Yeah, she's kind, Mum said. Simple, Respectful. Dad added, her family is good too. I nodded slowly. I'm not saying yes, I said. Mum smiled slightly. That's okay. I hesitated. I'll think about it. And for the first time, I meant it. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My phone stayed silent, and somewhere deep inside me, a voice whispered something I didn't want to accept. Maybe I was never her first choice. I didn't notice it at first. Or maybe I did, and I just chose to ignore it. Sophie, are you even listening? I asked, watching her scroll through her phone again. She looked up for a second. Yeah, I am. What did I just say? She smiled awkwardly. Something about work? I exhaled slowly. I was talking about us. She put her phone down. Why do you always make things serious, Liam? Because it matters to me, I said quietly. She leaned back. You think too much. I nodded, but my mind wasn't calm. It kept going back to one sentence she said a few days ago. Ethan used to understand me better. That line didn't leave me. So I said carefully, do you still compare me to him? She frowned. Why would you ask that? Just answer. She hesitated. Not really. Not really, I repeated. Liam, she sighed, you're different from him. Better or worse, just different. That wasn't an answer. I forced a smile. Right. Later that evening, I met Noah. He looked at me once and shook his head. You look tired, he said. I am, I replied. What's going on now? I sat down across from him. She met him again. Noah didn't react immediately. He just stared at me. You let her go? He asked. She said it was for closure. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Closure doesn't need multiple meetings. I trust her, I said, even though it sounded weaker this time. No, you don't, he replied calmly. You're just afraid to lose her. I stayed quiet. He leaned forward. Let me ask you something. If she had to choose between you and him, what do you think she'd do? I didn't answer. Say it, Noah pushed. I don't know. He shook his head. That means you already know. That's not fair, I snapped. What's not fair, he said, is you pretending this is normal. She loves me. Does she? He asked directly. I looked away. Yes. Then why is she still going back to him? That question hit harder than anything. She just needs closure, I repeated. Noah leaned back. Bro, you're not her first choice. I felt that in my chest. Don't say that. I'm saying it because you won't, he replied. You're standing in line, waiting for her to finish with someone else. That's not true. Then prove it. I couldn't. The silence between us said everything. When I got home, Olivia was waiting. Where were you? She asked. Out, I replied. With Noah? Yeah. She crossed her arms. Good. Maybe he knocked some sense into you. What's that supposed to mean? It means, she said sharply, I heard about Sophie. I froze. Who told you? It doesn't matter. Is it true? I didn't answer. Liam, she raised her voice. Is she still meeting her ex? Yes, I said finally. Olivia laughed in disbelief. You're kidding. It's not like that. Oh, really? She shot back. Then what is it like? She just wants closure. Stop saying that, she snapped. You sound like you're trying to convince yourself. I clenched my jaw. You don't understand. No, you don't understand, she said. You're being treated like an option. That's not fair. Then what is fair? She challenged. Her going back to the same guy again and again while you sit here waiting? She always comes back, I said quietly. Olivia paused, then looked at me with something close to pity. That's the problem, she said. You're okay with being the place she comes back to. Her words stayed in the air. How many chances will you give her? She asked softly. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I didn't have an answer, because the truth was I didn't have a limit. That night, I sat on my bed staring at my phone. No messages. I typed, "Did you reach home?" No reply. I waited. Minutes turned into hours. I typed again, "Everything okay?" Still nothing. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Why was I always the one waiting? Why was I always the one trying? My phone finally buzzed. Sophie. Hey, I'm tired. Talk tomorrow. That was it. No explanation. No detail. Just distance. I stared at the message for a long time, then I typed, okay. I wanted to say more. I wanted to ask where she was. I wanted to ask if she thought about me at all. But I didn't, because deep down, I was scared of the answers. I put my phone aside and whispered to myself, I trust her. But for the first time, it didn't feel true. That night felt longer than it should have. I kept staring at my phone, hoping it would light up. It didn't. I typed, are you okay? Sent. I waited. Nothing. I typed again. Did you reach home? Sent. Still nothing. I stood up, paced around my room, then picked up my phone again. Sophie, at least reply. Sent. I sat down, watching the screen like it owed me something. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2. Nothing. I ran my hand through my hair. Why am I doing this? I muttered. My phone stayed silent. I called her. It rang and rang. Then, cut. I stared at the screen. She declined. I called again. This time it went straight to voicemail. I laughed quietly, but it didn't feel like laughter. Wow. I sat back on my bed and whispered, you said you needed closure, not a whole night. Still no reply. Around midnight, Olivia knocked and walked in. You're still awake? She asked. I nodded. She looked at my face, then at my phone. No response. No. She sighed. Liam, she's probably just busy, I said quickly. Busy doing what? She asked. I didn't answer. Olivia sat next to me. You don't deserve this. I forced a smile. It's fine. No, it's not, she said firmly. Stop pretending. I'm not pretending. She looked at me carefully. Then why do you look like you're about to break? I stayed quiet. She shook her head. If she cared, she would have texted by now. She will, I said softly. When? She asked. Tomorrow? The next day? I didn't know. Olivia stood up. You're waiting for someone who isn't thinking about you. That's not true, I said, but my voice lacked confidence. She paused at the door. You're losing yourself, Liam. Then she left. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Her words echoed in my head. You're losing yourself. I picked up my phone again. No messages. I typed one last time. Just tell me you're okay. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put my phone down and whispered, why does this feel so one-sided? Sleep didn't come easy that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined her with him, laughing, smiling, forgetting me. I woke up early, my phone still in my hand, no messages, not even a missed call. I sat up slowly. So this is what I am to you, I said under my breath. Around noon, my phone buzzed. My heart jumped. Sophie, hey. That was it. Just, hey. I stared at the screen, confused. That's all? I called her immediately. She picked up. Hey, she said casually. Where were you? I asked. Out? Whined. Yeah, with him? She paused. Liam, just answer me. Yes. That one word felt heavy. You couldn't text me? I asked. I was busy. Busy, I repeated. Too busy to send one message. You're overreacting, she said. I laughed softly. Overreacting? Yes, she replied. It was just a conversation. All night? Why are you making it sound like something else? Because it feels like something else, I said. She sighed. You don't trust me. I trusted you enough to let you go, I replied. But you didn't even respect me enough to text. You're being dramatic. I went silent for a second. Do I even matter to you? Of course you do, she said quickly. Then why does it feel like I don't? Because you overthink everything, she snapped. I closed my eyes. Right. Look, she said, her tone softer now. I'll come see you. You don't have to, I replied. I want to, she said. An hour later, she stood in front of me like nothing happened. She smiled. Why do you look so serious? I stared at her. You disappeared all night. I told you, she said. I was talking. All night, Sophie. She walked closer. You're overthinking again. I shook my head. You didn't even think about me, did you? That's not true. Then why didn't you text? She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward and hugged me. Stop thinking so much, she whispered. For a second, I froze. Then, I hugged her back. Like nothing happened. Like I didn't spend the whole night breaking inside. Like I didn't feel disrespected. Like I wasn't hurt. I closed my eyes and held her tighter. I missed you, she said softly. I nodded. Yeah, me too. But inside, something felt wrong. Very wrong. I pulled back slightly and looked at her. Everything's okay now? She asked. I hesitated. Then I said the words I always said. Yeah, it's okay. She smiled. See? I told you you were overthinking. I forced a smile back, but deep inside, I felt something I couldn't ignore anymore. Not anger, not sadness, something worse. Disappointment in myself. Because no matter how much she hurt me, I still chose her. I still accepted her. I still stayed. I looked at her and realized something that scared me. I wasn't fighting for love anymore. I was begging for it. And that was the night I lost my pride. I wasn't supposed to see it. If I had taken a different route, if I had gone home earlier, maybe things would have stayed the same a little longer, but I didn't. I was walking past that cafe when I noticed her. At first, I smiled. Sophie? I whispered to myself. Then I saw who she was sitting with. Ethan. I stopped. They didn't notice me. They were too busy laughing. I moved a little closer without thinking. Do you remember this place? Ethan said. Sophie smiled. Of course I do. You used to order the same thing every time. She laughed softly. You still remember that? Some things don't change, he replied. My chest tightened. I stood there, frozen. Then I heard her say something that made everything inside me go silent. It still feels the same. I felt it. That moment. Like something inside me just dropped. Ethan leaned closer. You mean that? She didn't pull away. Yeah, she said quietly. I couldn't stand there anymore. I stepped forward. Sophie. She froze. Ethan turned first. Then she slowly looked at me. Liam, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I looked at both of them. Am I interrupting something? No, she said quickly, standing up. It's not what you think, I laughed once. Really? Because it looks exactly like what I think. Ethan leaned back in his chair, calm. Relax, man. We're just talking. I looked at him. I wasn't talking to you. Sophie stepped closer. Liam, listen. No, I cut her off. You listen. She went quiet. I trusted you, I said. I let you meet him because you said you needed closure. I do, she replied. Closure? I repeated. By saying it still feels the same? Her eyes widened. You heard that. Yes, I said. I heard enough. Ethan stood up. Maybe I should go. Yeah, I said without looking at him. You should. He glanced at Sophie, then walked away. Now it was just us. The silence felt heavy. Liam, she started. I stepped back. Don't. It's not like that, she said. Then tell me what it is, I replied. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I stared at her. Say something. It's complicated. I nodded slowly. Of course it is. You wouldn't understand, she added. That made me laugh again, but it sounded broken. Try me. She looked down. I just have history with him. And what am I? I asked. A distraction? No, she said quickly. You're important to me. Important? I repeated. Not enough, apparently. That's not fair. What's not fair? I said, my voice rising, is you standing there after everything, acting like this is normal. I didn't do anything wrong. I stared at her. You didn't? She shook her head. We were just talking. You said it still feels the same. She went silent. I took a step closer. Answer me honestly. She didn't look at me. Are you still in love with him? I asked. Silence. Just silence. My heart was pounding, waiting, but she didn't say anything. She didn't deny it. She didn't fight it. She just stood there. And somehow, that silence said everything. I nodded slowly. Got it. Liam, it's not that simple, she said quickly. It is, I replied. You just don't want to say it. I'm confused, she admitted. I smiled, but there was no emotion in it. Yeah, I can see that. I need time, she added. I stepped back again. Take all the time you want. Liam, I'm done asking questions, I said quietly. She looked at me, almost like she was about to say something else, but I didn't wait. I turned around and walked away. I didn't run. I didn't stop. I just walked. Every step felt heavier than the last. That one sentence kept repeating in my head. It still feels the same. I reached home and went straight inside. Mum looked up. You're early. I nodded. Yeah. Dad glanced at me. Everything okay? I stood there for a second. Then I said, about that proposal. Mum sat up straight. Amelia? I nodded. Have you thought about it? She asked gently. I took a deep breath. My chest still felt tight, but my voice came out steady. Tell them yes. They both looked surprised. Dad asked, Are you sure? I nodded again. I'll meet her. Mum smiled softly. That's good. I didn't smile back. Liam, she said carefully, did something happen? I shook my head. No, but that was a lie. Everything had happened. I went to my room and closed the door. I sat on my bed and stared at the wall. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just sat there, quiet, empty. And for the first time I stopped chasing her, because now I knew the truth, and no matter how much it hurt, it was something I couldn't ignore anymore. I didn't know what to expect when I walked into that meeting. Mum had said, just be yourself. I almost laughed at that. I wasn't even sure who I was anymore. When I entered the cafe, I saw her sitting by the window, Amelia Ross. She looked up as I approached and gave a small, calm smile. Liam, she asked. Yeah, I replied, pulling the chair. Hi. She said softly. There was a pause, not an awkward one. Just quiet. I hope I didn't make you wait long, I said. You didn't, she replied. I just got here. I nodded. She wasn't like Sophie, no restless energy, no constant phone checking. Her phone was face down on the table. So, she said gently, this is a bit unusual. Yeah, I admitted. It is. She smiled slightly. Arranged meetings aren't exactly common these days. Not really. Another small pause, then she looked at me directly. Can I be honest? I nodded. Please. I don't want to replace anyone. That caught me off guard. I blinked. What do you mean? I mean, she said calmly, if you're here because something didn't work out with someone else, I don't want to be a backup. I leaned back slightly. That was direct. I respect that, I said. She nodded. Good. I looked at her for a moment, then said, I'm not looking for love right now. She didn't react the way I expected. Instead, she nodded again. That's okay, she said. I frowned slightly. It is? Yes, she replied. I'm not here for instant love either. Then what are you looking for? I asked. She met my eyes. Respect. That word hit differently. I didn't reply immediately. She continued, I think everything else can grow from that, but without respect, nothing lasts. I let out a quiet breath. Yeah, I said. You're right. She tilted her head slightly. You sound like you've learned that the hard way. I gave a small, honest smile. Something like that. She didn't push further, and strangely, I appreciated that. So, she said, do you want to tell me what happened? I hesitated. I don't want to make this about my past, I replied. You don't have to, she said. But if we're going to talk about a future, honesty helps. I looked down at the table. Then I said, I was with someone. She nodded, listening. I gave everything. I continued. Time, energy, trust, and? She asked gently. I let out a breath. She couldn't let go of her past. Amelia stayed quiet for a second. That must have hurt, she said. It did, I admitted. Does it still? I thought about it. Then I said, yeah, but not the same way. She studied my face. What changed? I stopped expecting anything, I replied. She nodded slowly. That sounds more like protection than healing. I smiled faintly. Maybe it is. She leaned back slightly. I don't want to compete with someone from your past. You won't have to, I said. She raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? I paused. Then I answered honestly. I'm trying to be. That seemed to satisfy her. Fair enough, she said. There was a small silence again, but this time it felt comfortable. So, she asked, what do you expect from this? I thought for a moment. I don't know yet. That's honest, she said. What about you? I asked. She smiled slightly. I expect effort, clear communication, and respect. No drama, I said lightly. She smiled a little more. No unnecessary drama. That sounds peaceful, I admitted. It is, she said. I looked at her again. There was no pressure in her eyes, no confusion, no mixed signals, just calm. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. Why did you agree to this? She didn't hesitate. Because I believe in building something stable. Not exciting? I asked. Excitement fades, she said simply. Stability stays. That line stayed with me. I nodded slowly. That makes sense. She glanced at me. You seem surprised. I am, I admitted. I'm used to chaos. She smiled knowingly. Then maybe this is new for you. Yeah, I said quietly. It is. We talked a little more after that. Simple things, work, family, daily life, nothing intense. But somehow it felt real. When we stood up to leave, she said, this was nice. It was, I agreed. No pressure, she added. Take your time deciding. I nodded. I will. She gave a small wave and walked away. I stood there for a moment. Then I realized something. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel like I had to chase anything. I didn't feel confused. I just felt calm. And that scared me a little, because I wasn't used to peace. But maybe that's exactly what I needed. I didn't tell Sophie about Amelia. I didn't feel like I owed her that anymore, but somehow she found out. My phone rang non-stop that afternoon. Sophie flashed on the screen again and again. I stared at it, then finally picked up. Hello, what is this I'm hearing? She snapped. I stayed calm. What are you talking about? Don't act stupid, Liam, she shouted. You're meeting someone else. I paused for a second. Yes. There was silence. Then you're joking, right? No. Her voice changed instantly. You're replacing me. I leaned back. No. Then what is this? She demanded. I'm choosing myself, I said quietly. She laughed, but it sounded forced. Since when do you do that? Since I realized I had to. You didn't even talk to me about this. I exhaled slowly. You didn't talk to me when you kept going back to him. That's different. How? I asked. I told you it was closure, and I told you it hurt me, I replied. She went silent for a moment. Where are you? She asked suddenly. Why? Because I'm coming to see you. Sophie. I'm already on my way, she said, then cut the call. I put my phone down and sighed. Of course. About 30 minutes later, she was standing in front of me, angry, frustrated. You moved on that fast? She demanded. I didn't move on, I replied. I made a decision to marry someone else, she asked, disbelief in her voice. I agreed to meet her. That's the same thing. No, it's not, I said calmly. She stepped closer. So what am I to you now? I looked at her. That's something you should have thought about earlier. Her expression changed. You're blaming me? I'm stating facts. She shook her head. This is unbelievable. What is? I asked. That I finally stopped waiting. You said you loved me. I did, I replied. Did? She repeated. I didn't answer. She looked hurt for a second, then angry again. This is because of Ethan, right? This is because of everything, I said. You're overreacting again. I smiled slightly. That's what you always say. Because it's true. No, I said. It was convenient for you. She stared at me, speechless for a moment. Before she could respond, a voice came from behind. Well, this is awkward. I turned. Lucas, Ethan's friend. What do you want? Sophie snapped. He raised his hands slightly. Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble. Then leave, she said. He glanced at me, then back at her. Actually, you might want to hear this. I don't, she replied coldly. You will, he said. Trust me. I frowned. What are you talking about? Lucas sighed. About Ethan. Sophie stiffened. What about him? He hesitated for a second, then said, You should know the truth. Which is? I asked. He looked at Sophie directly. He was never serious about you. Her face went pale. What? I'm serious, Lucas continued. He didn't plan to get back with you. That's not true, she said quickly. He told us, Lucas replied. You were just temporary. The word hung in the air. Stop lying, Sophie snapped. I'm not lying, he said calmly. You were someone he could talk to when he was bored. That's it. No, she shook her head. He wouldn't. He did, Lucas cut her off. He even said you still had feelings, so it was easy. I felt something shift beside me. Sophie stepped back slightly. No, you're making this up. I wish I was, Lucas said. Why would he do that? She whispered. Lucas shrugged. Because that's who he is. She looked at me, her eyes searching for something. I didn't say anything. Liam, her voice cracked. You don't believe this, right? I stayed quiet, because part of me already did. She turned back to Lucas. You're lying. I'm not, he said. Ask him yourself. Her hand started shaking. No, he wouldn't. She whispered. I watched her, and for the first time I saw it. The same confusion, the same pain, the same disbelief, everything I had, felt. She looked at me again. Liam, say something. I took a deep breath. What do you want me to say? I asked quietly. That it's not true, she said. I shook my head slightly. I don't know. Her eyes filled with tears. You think I'm stupid. I think you ignored the truth, I replied. She stepped back again. No, she whispered. Lucas sighed. I'm sorry, but you deserve to know. Then he walked away. Now it was just us again. But everything had changed. Sophie looked lost. Why would he do that? She asked again. I didn't answer, because I already knew the answer. And deep down, so did she. Her world was breaking, the same way mine once did. And this time, I wasn't the one falling apart. I didn't expect her to come back that soon. But she did. It was late. Evening when I heard the knock. I opened the door, and there she was, Sophie. Her eyes were red. Her face looked different. Not angry this time. Broken. Liam, her voice shook. Can we talk? I stepped aside without saying anything. She walked in slowly, looking around like everything had changed. Maybe it had. I know what you're going to say, she started. I'm not going to say anything, I replied calmly. That seemed to hit her harder than anger would. I made a mistake, she said, her voice cracking. I stayed silent. I didn't know he was like that, she continued. I thought he meant it. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. And now I know, she whispered. I nodded slightly. Good. She looked at me, confused. That's it? What else do you want me to say? I don't know, something, she said. Anything. I shook my head. I already said everything before. She stepped closer. Liam, please don't be like this. Like what? I asked, so cold. I let out a quiet breath. I wasn't cold when you needed me. She flinched. I was there, I continued, every time. No questions asked. I know, she said quickly, and I regret it. I regret everything. I looked at her for a moment. I'm sorry, she added. I nodded once. Okay. Her brows furrowed. Okay? Yes, I said. I heard you? That's all, she asked again. What do you want, Sophie? I asked directly. She hesitated. I want us back. There it was, the same words I used to wait for, but now they felt different. I can't do that, I said calmly. Her face fell. Why? I looked at her. Because I've already been there. This time it'll be different, she said quickly. That's what you said before, I replied. I mean it now. You meant it then too, I said. She ran her hands through her hair. I was confused, and I was patient, I replied. She went quiet. I gave you space, I continued. I trusted you. I know, she whispered. And you still chose him, I said. I didn't choose him, she argued. You went back, I cut her off. Again and again. She had no answer. The silence said enough. I'm sorry, she repeated. I believe you, I said. Then why can't we fix this? I looked at her, really looked this time. Because I'm not the same person anymore, I said quietly. She shook her head. You are. No, I replied. I'm not. She stepped closer. Liam, please, I need you. That sentence used to mean everything to me. Now it felt different. You didn't need me before, I said. I do now, I gave a small, tired smile. That's the problem. Tears rolled down her face. Don't say that. I have to, I replied, because it's the truth. She covered her face for a moment, trying to hold herself together. I messed up, she whispered. Yes, I said. And I lost you? I didn't answer, because she already knew. After a long silence, she said, Is it because of her, Amelia? I asked. She nodded. No, I said honestly. This is because of me. She looked confused. What does that mean? It means I finally chose myself, I replied. She stared at me, like she didn't recognize me anymore. I never thought you'd walk away, she said. I never thought I would either, I admitted. That was the truth. She stood there for a while, then slowly turned toward the door. I hope she makes you happy, she said quietly. I didn't respond, because happiness wasn't something I was chasing anymore. Peace was. She opened the door, then paused. I really did love you, she said without turning around. I closed my eyes for a second. I know, I replied. Then she left. And this time I didn't stop her. The next few days felt different, quieter, lighter. I started meeting Amelia more often. One evening, we sat across from each other again. You seem calmer, she said. I feel calmer, I replied. That's good, she smiled. I think I needed this, I added. This, she asked. Something simple, I said. Something real. She nodded. That's all I offer. Teen 9. That's enough, I said. She looked at me carefully. Are you sure you're ready for this? I'm ready for something healthy, I replied. That's a better answer, she said softly. Later, I met her brother Daniel and her friend Grace. Daniel shook my hand firmly. Take care of her. I will, I said. Grace smiled. And take care of yourself, too. I nodded. I'm trying. For the first time, I felt something new. Not pressure, not fear, just balance. And as I walked away that night, I realized something. Karma doesn't knock. It crashes. And this time, I wasn't the one buried under it. Change didn't happen in one moment. It happened slowly, one decision at a time. Why aren't you checking your phone? Olivia asked one evening. I looked up from my laptop. Why should I? She raised an eyebrow. That's new. I shrugged. I got tired of waiting. She smiled slightly. I like this version of you. I'm still figuring him out, I replied. And that was true. I started focusing more on work. No one noticed it first. You're actually early today? He said as I walked in. Yeah, I replied. Who are you and what have you done with Liam? He joked. I smirked. Very funny. He looked at me carefully. But seriously, you seem different. I feel different, I said. In a good way. I think so, he nodded. Finally, I repeated. Yeah, he said. You stopped chasing someone who was running away. I didn't argue, because he was right. Later that week, I met Amelia again. You look focused, she said as we sat down. I've been working a lot, I replied. That's good, she said, as long as you're not using it as an escape. I smiled faintly. Maybe I was before, and now? Now I'm building something, I said. She nodded. That's better. I looked at her. You always say the right things. She shook her head. No, I just say honest things. That's rare, I admitted. It shouldn't be, she replied. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. No pressure, no confusion, just calm. I like this, I said without thinking. This, she asked. This piece, I replied. She smiled softly. Me too. Days turned into weeks, and for the first time in a long time, I stopped looking back. No checking messages, no wondering where she was, no waiting, just moving forward until one day, Liam. I froze. I knew that voice. I turned around slowly. Sophie. She stood there, looking at me like she didn't know what to expect. Hey, she said softly. Hey, I replied. There was a pause. You look different, she said. So do you, I replied. She gave a small, nervous smile. Can we talk? I hesitated for a second. Then I said, okay. We sat down across from each other. It felt strange, like we were strangers now. I've been thinking a lot, she started. I figured, I said. She looked down at her hands. About everything. I stayed quiet. About us, she added. I nodded slightly. What about us? She looked up at me. Do you still love me? The question hung between us. For a moment, I didn't answer, not because I didn't know, but because I wanted to be honest, completely honest. I took a breath. I loved you, I said. Her expression changed. Loved, she repeated. I nodded. But I lost. Myself doing that, I continued. She blinked. Like the words hit her slowly. I gave you everything, I said. And somewhere in that, I forgot about myself. She looked down again. I didn't see it before, I added. Or maybe I didn't want to. I never asked you to lose yourself, she said quietly. You didn't have to, I replied. I did it on my own. There was silence, heavy, but calm. I miss you, she said after a moment. I looked at her. I believe you, I said. Then why does it feel like you're so far away, she asked. Because I am, I replied. She shook her head. You weren't like this before. I know, I said. I liked the old you, she admitted. I gave a small, almost sad smile. Yeah, so did I. She looked at me, confused. But that version of me wasn't healthy, I continued. What do you mean? He was always anxious, I said. Always waiting, always trying to be enough. And now, she asked. Now I don't chase people who aren't sure about me, I replied. She went quiet. I needed to learn that, I added. She swallowed. And I was the lesson? I paused, then I said, yeah. Tears filled her eyes again. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. I know, I replied. But you did, I added gently. She nodded. I wish I could change things, she said. I used to wish that, too, I admitted. And now I accept them. She looked at me like she was searching for something, but I had nothing left to give her, not like before. I'm sorry, she said again. I know, I replied, and for the first time, those words didn't change anything, because I had already changed. Everything happened quietly after that. No big arguments, no dramatic endings, just distance. My engagement with Amelia became official. It wasn't flashy, no chaos, no confusion, just a simple agreement between two people who understood peace. I remember telling Noah, "So it's real now?" he asked. "Yeah, I replied. He nodded slowly. "You good with that?" I thought for a second. "For the first time, yes." He smiled slightly. "That's all that matters." Even Olivia noticed it. "You look calmer," she said one evening. "I feel calmer," I replied. She studied me. "That girl, Amelia, she's good," I said. "Good for you?" she asked. I paused. "Yeah, I think so." She nodded. Then I trusted. That meant more than I expected. Days passed like that. Simple. Balanced. Until Sophie came back. One last time. It was late evening. I opened the door, and she was there again. But this time, she didn't look angry. She looked tired. "I need to talk to you," she said softly. I sighed. "Sophie, please," she interrupted. "Just listen." I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like she wasn't sure she belonged here anymore. "I've been thinking," she said. "I figured," I replied. She looked at me. "About everything we had." I nodded once. "Okay. I made mistakes," she admitted. "I know," I said calmly. She stepped closer. "We can fix this." That sentence used to shake me. But now, nothing. I looked at her. Not with anger, not with pain, just clarity. No, I said. She froze. What? No, I repeated. Liam, her voice cracked. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I said. I already did it. What does that mean? She asked quickly. It means some things are meant to teach us, I replied, not stay with us. Her eyes filled instantly. So that's it? I nodded. That's it. She shook her head. You're just giving up? No, I said. I moved on. You don't mean that, she whispered. I do, I replied. She stepped closer. I still love you. I looked at her for a moment. I believe you, I said quietly. Then, but love isn't enough, I interrupted. She stopped. Silence again. Heavy, real. I waited too long, I continued. I lost myself in waiting. I never asked you to, she said. I know, I replied. But I still did it. She looked down, struggling to breathe through her emotions. I can change, she said. I know, I said again. So give me another chance, she pleaded. I shook my head slowly. No, that one word broke her. She stepped back, like it physically hurt. Is it her? She asked suddenly. Amelia, I said. She nodded quickly. I paused, then answered honestly. No. Then why? She asked. Because I'm not that person anymore, I said. She stared at me like she was trying to find the old version of me. But he wasn't there. I don't recognize you, she whispered. I gave a small, tired smile. That's because I finally recognized myself. She looked away, tears falling freely now. I lost you, she said softly. I shook my head. No, she looked up at me. You lost the version of me that accepted less than he deserved, I said. That silence after my words said everything. She wiped her face, nodding slowly. I really did mess this up, she whispered. Yes, I said gently. She took a shaky breath. I hope you're happy. I looked at her honestly. I am trying to be. She nodded again, then turned toward the door. Before leaving, she stopped. I hope she treats you better than I did, she said quietly. She will, I replied. She left without looking back, and this time I didn't feel empty. I felt free. Later that night, I sat alone for a moment, thinking, not about her, not about what I lost, but what I became. I didn't lose her. I lost the version of me who accepted less than he deserved, and that realization didn't hurt anymore. It healed before sleeping, I whispered to myself. I agreed to that arranged marriage the day she chose her past, and in doing that, I finally chose my future. And for the first time, I believed it completely.